everybody. Welcome to the Flipside. I'm Sam.
I'm JT.
And if you came over here from the Dice Hour, thank you for continuing your journey with us through the top 10 games of 2017. That was our bottom 5, numbers 10 through 6. This is our top 5, numbers 5 through 1 of the year 2017. And if you're new, if you didn't go watch the one over the Dice Hour, you should. It's a great list. It's a great half of a list.
Yep.
We did have some curious factoids about this year. First of all, page 15. 15 pages.
A lot of games.
Circa 1,450 games in
Ranked.
the top 26,268 games on Board Game Geek.
We also had 73 games in the top 1,000.
Wow, that is our most
That is our most,
so far.
and that's hitting our median. We need 72.5 for every year, 18 through 24.
Ooh, that made up for half of a game.
That's right, half a game
70,
picked up.
so we are tracking. All right, we have also surmised that we may have exactly one crossover over both lists.
I'm hoping for 2.
I don't think that's going to happen.
But-
Knowing what I put down for my top 5 and knowing the kind of gamer that you are, I think that's going to happen.
One more then. One total.
I think there's going to be one
All
because
right.
there
We
was
haven't
not
had
one.
one yet.
There was not one over on the bottom 5. So let's see how that goes.
All right.
Let's get to it. All right, my number 5. My number 5 is not. This is one of the ones that I told you haven't even played.
Okay.
And this one, in years gone by, could very possibly have been my number 1 of 2017.
Blood Rage. And it wasn't even made in 2017.
But this was for a very long time my number 2 game of all time, Twilight Imperium 4th Edition. But it has recently switched because I just can't get it to the table anymore. It's not that I dislike the game.
It's like a stock market crash.
It just doesn't get played.
Yeah.
But I could not
We're
not
old. It's
put
hard
it
to
in my
put
top
that many
5.
hours into one game.
That is true. See, and I was thinking about this. I could play all 9 of the other games on my list.
Yeah.
Or I could play one game of
Yeah.
Twilight Imperium 4.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's a stretch, but it's kind of true.
Yeah.
Kind of true. So that's why it's my number 5. It could have very easily been my number 1. But as I'm looking at the other 4 on my top 5, I would much rather play any 4 of those games.
Okay. That's a fair
multiple
placement,
times.
7 times.
Yes, multiple times. So that's just the way it is. But Twilight Imperium 4th Edition is such an epic sci-fi game. There have been a lot of 4X games that have been made. Last Light is one of them that really kind of gives you the same kind of experience in a much shorter, truncated time. And that's great. But there still remains something to be said of taking a good 4 to 5 hour chunk of time and, churning through.
You said 4 to 5 hours. I've never heard of less than 6.
It can be done. No, it can be done. I've played a 3-player.
One-player game of Twilight Imperium 4 hours.
I've played a 3-player game of Twilight Imperium 4 that was only 4 hours long.
Wow.
If you add a 4th player, and they are just as savvy as the other 3 were, we could easily get it done in 5 to 6 hours.
So here's the question. Have you ever played a 12 or a 16-hour game of Twilight Imperium 4?
12, yes.
See?
I haven't ever gone to 16. Now, I don't know if it was 12. It was definitely the norm to what you normally hear people talking about. A 10-hour experience, 8 to 12-hour experience. I've definitely been there. I've played a big 6-player game of it, and we started in the morning and we did not get done until late at night.
Awesome.
We took time off to go for dinner and for lunch and all that kind of stuff. So it's really hard. We don't stop watch it. We don't do that. But it is one of those games, and it is an epic experience. and that's one of the coolest things about the game.
We need to ask somebody that plays this game. No, some people, they take their games and they like time them, right? Like, I played this game on this date for 2.5 hours with these people. See if they actually say that they played it for this much, took a 7-minute break, played it for this much, took a 2-hour break. They might actually do that. We should ask Jim. He's done it.
He has?
I don't know.
Oh, well, that wouldn't surprise me.
If anybody's done it, Jim's done it.
And you can also ask him how long he watched a basketball game while he was playing the game.
That's
too.
right. Only if it was on. All right. Well, that's a good number 5. Obviously,
number 5, TI.
Massive game.
Yep,
so.
yep.
All right. My number 5 is our first crossover, and it is Clank in Space.
Told ya.
Because Clank in Space is awesome.
Yep, it is.
He had Clank in Space a little bit earlier on the Dice Tower video.
Yep.
Clank in Space is a deck builder where you're trying to go through this spaceship, get a treasure, and get out.
Yep.
The difference between this one and normal Clank is the fact that you have to go to these terminals and pick up these cubes, and once you have 2 of these cubes, you now have the key to get through this locked area that's at the bottom. There, and then you can go in and get. It also has a train. It's not a train. It's a. What do you call it? It's like a. There's one section in the middle where there's a train track. It's not a train. What do you call that? You know,
like that.
Like a tram or whatever.
Yeah,
but they have a tram that'll take you a long distance in there. But it changes. It makes
call
that
it a
one
teleporter,
change
but I
in
don't
Clank.
think it was.
They
a
have
teleporter.
teleporters too.
Yeah.
But they also have that. That track down the middle, and I can't.
I
remember
had
what it's
forgotten
called.
about that. That's cool.
But the cards are awesome in this game, just like in Clank. They have play off of every, the little dude from Buck Rogers, that little robot. Yeah, exactly.
Way
they
to
got
go,
all
Buck.
these cool references to everything. They got the Trouble with Tribbles, all of those cool things, which are always fun to see and build in your deck. But this is a better Clank. For that reason, that it locks you out of the speed run down to the bottom and back. You have to do more on the board.
Yep.
Plus, the board is modular. And I have one of the expansions as well, which adds more modularity to it. Yeah, it's really cool. So it's called Apocalypse. But yeah, Clank in Space is a fantastic game.
That's cool. Absolutely is. And that's a great crossover. If it's the only crossover, which I believe it will be, if it's the only crossover, that is probably one of the best games to have as a crossover.
Absolutely.
Because it probably has a much wider appeal than most of the other games that are on the list, as far as mechanisms and theme is concerned and all that kind of stuff. So,
so that's my number 5, Clank in Space.
Good job, sir. My number 4 possibly could be, I doubt it is, but it possibly could be. I don't know that you like this game. I don't even know that you've played this game. But there was a game that came out a while ago that was all about trading spices. But this is Crystals and Golems. Century Golem Edition. That is the best version of Century that you could possibly have.
It is. My number 12.
Man. You
My
and
number 12,
your
so close.
multiple digits, sir.
Anyways, didn't quite make the list, but such a fun game.
Such a fun game, and is such a beautiful game, especially in comparison to its predecessor, which is largely the same game. I don't think there's any differences except for components and artwork between Century, Spice Road, and Century Golem Edition. I don't think there's any differences.
No.
I could be wrong, but I don't think there are. Just
I need
components.
to pick this one up. I need to get it for Hawken.
Yeah. It's a good one.
He'll like it.
It's a good one. Very much a good one. I bought all 3 of them, but I have yet to play all 3 of them together. Which apparently you can do. I just haven't tried doing it yet. But it's such a good game.
All 3 of the Golem ones. He's not talking about the Spice Road and this one
correct.
mixed together.
Correct. Yeah.
There's the Eastern Mountains and what's the other one? One adds an area board where you're actually moving around to
An
do
endless
stuff.
world. There's Eastern Mountains and an endless world. Those are the other 2.
And they're all standalone games, but
Yes,
you can
they are. And they're all good standalone games, too. You don't have to put them together. I think they all stand on their own. But each builds upon the other. And I think that's a pretty cool way to do it. Emerson Matsuuchi is a great game designer. And he was at the helm of this one. So I think it's a great game. All you're really doing is you're using your hand. It is a deck builder.
Yep.
You're using your hand to switch out different gems, generate gems, switch them out for different things, and then you're trying to activate these golems, and you're going to get points at the end of the game for all of the golems that you activate. I think the first person to activate 6 golems is what triggers the end of the game, and then whoever has the most points at that point wins. So it's a great game, great artwork. I would highly recommend this over Century Spice Road, but different strokes for different folks.
I would highly agree.
Very good. All right, my number 4, Century Golem.
All right, my number 4 is technically longer than your number 5 if you played it all at once and didn't stop. Just kidding. My number 4 is Pandemic Legacy Season 2, which could have up to 24 games. That's 24 hours. You could play 2 Twilight Imperiums by the time I get my campaign done if I suck at it.
Jeez.
No, but Pandemic...
Well, that's if you play...
That's if you played every month twice.
Yeah, and you had to play every month twice. Yeah,
you don't have to do that. You could do it in 12. But anyways, Pandemic Legacy Season 2 is a fantastic experience. It's kind of an interesting one, because after you play Season 1, there's this very pandemic-y feel to Season 1. And then when you jump into Season 2... it flips you right on your head, and that's as much as I'll say, but it flips you right on your head, and you're not really playing Pandemic the way we all played Pandemic, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then it expands and does all of its things. But
it literally drops you on your head because you're a little loopy. You forget a lot of stuff.
Yep, you do. So it's really cool the way they went from Season 1 and everything that happened in there to the start of Season 2 and then everything you have to do. Really loved this one. 1 was my favorite because it's a little more pandemic-y, but this one was great. So,
I think they did such a great job. I mean, for me, whenever anyone says Legacy, this is what I immediately think of. It's Season 1, Season 2.
Yep.
It just was what encapsulates that kind of Legacy experience for me. And it's so good. So good. Great pick.
Yep.
My number 3 is a game that has artwork by the great Vincent Dutrait.
Interesting.
This one's called Rising 5, Runes of Asteros. This is a great little cooperative puzzle game where you basically have to... you have to open these different gates, and the combination for the different gates can only be deduced by information that you glean from different places on the board that you can go and get. But there's also event cards that turn over every round, and those event cards can make more bad guys come out that you have to go fight, that are guarding the different things that you have to deduce to open up these different gates. It can make the moon crash further into Asteros because that's what you're trying to stop. You're trying to stop the moon from crashing into the planet of Asteros. I believe that's what it is. So
pull out the Hulk card. There you go, done.
But this is an app. Well, it doesn't have to be an app-driven game. You can play it without the app, but it does have an app assistance that greatly it adds music, and it keeps track of all of your guesses at the different gates.
Nice.
And it keeps track of all of that kind of stuff. So it's just a great little game, and it's a beautiful game. Very fun, logical deduction type puzzly game. That's cooperative. So I think it's a great game. That's why it's my number 3.
Nice.
Rising 5, the Runes of Asteros.
All right. My number 3 is the brain-burning cousin of one of the games we had not too long ago in one of these lists. And it is called Gaia Project. Gaia Project is the big brother of Terra Mystica. In Gaia Project,
It's not really the big brother.
it is.
It's
It's
like
got
the
more
progeny.
to it. Well, yeah, maybe.
It's the progeny. It's the discharge that
No,
came out of the
It's
first.
taking the first, adding a bunch, and
Became a
then
monstrosity.
becoming a monstrosity,
Oh.
a fantastic monstrosity, where you're trying to spread out across the galaxy. Of course, you have planets that are good for you to settle on, because your race or faction has, an affinity to the green planets or to the whatever colored planets it may. And then you can terraform the other planets by sending these little flying saucers out there to terraform for you. You have to manage tech tracks in this one, which is what Terra Mystica really didn't have as much, is you have these tech tracks that really determine how far you can reach out in space, how how many ships you have, how many terraformers you have, all of these kind of things. And your income is based on how many buildings you have on the board. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic galactic civilization type of game. Don't listen to him.
I disagree.
I love this game.
I did not like Terra Mystica because for me, Terra Mystica looked really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then
was pretty good.
Was not fun at all. And then they were like, well, it's...
You want a space one?
Gaia Project.
It's
this
pretty
is space. Okay, I was like, all right, space. But it's pretty much like Terra Mystica, but it's just more complicated. I'm like,
It's got a modular board, too. You can, all that stuff. All the planets are in different places this time.
Modular chaos.
Modular chaos. Such a great game.
I don't... It's... I'll use this phrase.
This is my...
It's just not for me.
Quintessential Euro space exploration game. There you go. That's the best I got.
Cool. My number 2 is a Viking game.
That I missed? Must not be a good one. All right.
Oh, it's a really good one. This is a historical Viking game. This isn't the romantic stuff that you get in Champions of Midgard and
they don't have horns.
All of that kind
Vikings.
of stuff.
Wait.
878 Vikings.
That's all that we're
Invasions
left.
of England. It's from Academy Games, and this is a great game for historical reasons. Because if you're playing 2-player, which you can, you got one player that takes all of the English forces, and you have another player that takes all of the Viking forces, and the Vikings are trying to take over. The British are just trying to survive and beat back the Viking hordes. But you can also play it 3 or 4 player because each side has 2 factions that you can play on either side. So, and I would normally say it's a 2-player game. But because they did so well in balancing all of the different factions, sometimes when you play games like that, one or more of the people that are using the other factions get kind of bored.
Yep.
Because the factions aren't balanced.
Yeah.
In this one, they really kind of are. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great balance. It has a lot of historical accuracy to it as well, which is one of the reasons that I really enjoyed it. It has really neat little Viking miniatures, berserkers, and all these. It's just a great little Viking game that is about how they invaded England.
Do they have horns on their helmets?
Of course not.
Good. Otherwise, it would be invalid.
It's a fashion statement.
So, the question that everybody wants to know.
Oh, boy.
How many times have you played as the English? Just say more than once. That's
0.
That's like if you're going to play the... See?
Why play a Viking game and be the English?
Definitely the question that everybody wanted to know.
Don't play the Viking. Don't play the English.
Yep, that's like playing a freaking World War...
Unless you're playing me, and then you are going to play the English.
You see?
There you go.
Like playing a World War II game, and you have to be Hitler and the Nazis.
That's exactly it.
That's funny. All right, we knew that was the answer. All right, my number 2 game
All right.
is from Greater Than Games. This is one of the greatest games. The problem about this top 10 is a lot of these games are very close to my top 100. This one in particular from Greater Than Games is called Spirit Island.
I knew this was going to be here.
Oh, yeah, you knew this was going to be there.
Yep. I'm
Spirit
surprised
Island
it's not your number one.
is one of the greatest games ever in existence.
Hmm.
And my 1 and 2 are neck and neck. In my top 100, they're probably neck and neck. Well, they were last year anyways. And here they're neck and neck. Spirit Island is a great game. You have all these asymmetric spirits that have all different powers. You're collecting these power cards. You're spreading across this island. And while you're doing that, the invaders are coming in. They're exploring. They're making cities and towns. They're trying to damage your area, create desolation, and
they're just trying to survive.
No, they're trying to destroy. They're trying to strip mine your island.
No.
And as the Lord of the Volcanoes, you have to
just
wipe them all out.
Yeah, and destroy nature with fire and brimstone.
Well, that's just creating new nature. But anyways, my number 2 game for 2017, Spirit Island.
It's a good one.
It's a great one.
It's a good one. It's a good one. All right, well done. My number 1 game from 2017 actually has a number of different sets that you can buy for it. But the one that I'm going to use as the one that started it all is Warhammer Underworld's Shadespire.
And that came out in 2017?
It did.
Shadespire did.
Shadespire did, yes. So this was the beginning. They've come out with, I don't know exactly how many, but I want to say about 5 to 6 different box sets that have 2 armies included in the box that you can jumpstart your collection that way. And they also have a number of single warband boxes that you can buy as well, so that you can, after you've bought one of these box sets, and you have all of the stuff, you can add stuff into it and stuff like that. This is probably one of my favorite arena battle style games. Super Fantasy Brawl is probably my go-to for a family setting. But if I'm playing an arena battle game with another gamer that is the same age, or at least we can say an adult, this is probably the one that I would want to go with, because I think it's Super Fantasy Brawl, it's ready to go. It's all there. It's ready to go. You don't have to do any deck building. You don't have to do any of this or that. It's just ready to go. You set things up. You give your person a deck, and you play. With Warhammer Underworld Shadespire, there's just a smidge of deck construction there. There's not a whole lot, because I'm really not a big fan of deck construction. But it's basically what kind of goals do you want to include in your deck this time? Do you want to use this one, this one, this one, this one, this one? I think you take a deck of 10 goals that are going to score you points. Then you have 10 to 20 cards that you can swap out with your deck. Your decks are only, I think, 30 cards minimum, but you can have as many cards in there as you want. But of course, the smaller the deck, the more efficient it's going to be and all that kind of stuff. So, other than the deck construction, it's simply move your dudes around, roll dice to attack, knock people out, hold different spaces for scoring points. It's a really fun game. It's probably there because of my affinity for Games Workshop.
Yep.
And those games that I used to play. It kind of scratches that itch for me in a
Sure.
very low-key fashion.
Nice.
But it's a great little game, and I love it. It's probably my favorite arena battler game that's out there. So that's my number 1, Warhammer Underworld's Shadespire.
Nice. That's where you get your Ameritrash from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right on. My number 1, I shouldn't even look at my list. My number 1 for this year, and like I said, neck and neck with Spirit Island, my number 1 for this year, for 2017, and for all eternity, is called Too Many Bones.
Too Many Bones.
Too Many Bones is a game that I love, that I champion, that I don't even have to champion because everybody else champions it too. But, well, not everybody, but a lot of people do. But I think I own every single thing for Too Many Bones, except for some of the promo chips and things like that.
You got too many components.
I have too many components. But in Too Many Bones, you're taking a gear lock, which is a little character that has his own abilities and everything else. All those abilities are represented by dice. And you're going around with your other group of gear lock fellows, and you're trying to get through so many event cards, and you're trying to succeed at so many event cards, which are typically a combat scenario, so that you can go fight a big bad boss. And at this point in time, I have, I think, 18 gear locks, so 18 different characters that play multiple times, and I have, I think there's 23 different bad guys, and all of the enemy units are chips, and there's piles and piles of those, so there's a huge amount of variability. I really love Too Many Bones, and really what probably puts it over Spirit Island is I played Too Many Bones more than Spirit Island. I played them both a bunch.
You played it too many times.
I will play them too many times more as well. So 18 plays just to get through all the characters one time. Yep. So
that's too many plays.
So to learn them all, I have to have a minimum of 180 plays. So I don't have a minimum of 100. I haven't played 180 times. So I have not played it that many times. I don't know. Probably 40, 50 times. Maybe a little more than that. But
too many chips.
I love Too Many Bones. I love the component quality. But that's a chip theory game thing.
Too many chips.
Yep.
No, it is. Chip theory. I think it's actually a great little thing that Chip Theory Games did in using those poker chips as one of the main components for most of their games, if not all.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great little thing. They are also great people as well. The Carlsons,
but they
just
seem
great
awesome.
dudes.
I need to pick up Hoplomachus Victorum, but I'm kind of waiting on that one because the Elder Scrolls one's coming out soon.
Really? Elder Scrolls Hoplomachus?
No, Elder Scrolls like Too Many Bones.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh.
And I got everything coming. Everything.
Oh, we're going to play that.
Elder Scrolls is...
I'm a huge Skyrim fan.
So it's
Skyrim
Elder Scrolls kind of in a Too Many Bones thing. But you get to pick your race, you get to pick your class, you get to do all of this cool stuff, and there's exhaustion dice and everything. We're on the wrong subject. Too Many Bones is probably best at 2. Probably my favorite at 2. It's good at 3. It's good or as good at 3 if you have 3 players that are in it.
Yeah.
Like me, my wife, and Hawkins been playing this. He's 9 years old. He's been playing Too Many Bones since he was 7.
Woo!
So
he's a 2-year vet.
Yeah, he's a 2-year vet of Too Many Bones. Almost a 3-year vet of Too Many Bones.
It's too many veterans in your house.
But he's 7 years old. He was able to play Too Many Bones. He loves Boomer. He loves Gilly. He loves different characters. Duster. He loves all the. I mean, he knows their stuff. So
too many
it's
characters.
not like if he can figure it out, anybody can figure it out.
Too many abilities.
Too many abilities. Lots of abilities.
Too many dice.
We've talked a lot about my number 1, but
we did. It's worthy. It's worthy. It's a great pick. So well done. All right. Well, that is our top 5 games from 2017. Again, if you haven't caught this already, we did do our bottom 5, numbers 10 through 6, over on the Dice Tower. You can go check that out. But thank you for joining us here. If you enjoyed this content, I'm going to say it this time.
Oh, no.
You need to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon because that's what really helps us out here on the Dice Tower. And we, on the flip side, wow, I just mess all this stuff up.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's what I do.
Go like, comment, and subscribe over there. Then come over here and do the same. I don't know.
Yes.
Whatever.
Do just both.
Don't forget the comments.
Don't forget the comments. I read all of them. And if you do something that makes me chuckle, I'll respond and say thank you.
I read all of them too.
I'll
most
probably
of the time.
respond.
No, I read all of them, I think.
Yeah, it's fun.
So.
It's fun. But thank you for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. We'll see you guys and gals right here on the flip side. Take care.
See you later.